This is Will McCauley with Centellect. I am going to discuss this week's proprietary research and analysis piece on U.S. natural gas storage, where we're going to end up at the end of this injection season, and when we think we're going to normalize back to a 5-year average. I think first off, in the market, you're hearing a lot of talk about the increased gas supply in the United States from the various shale basins, meaning everyone is, particularly bearish on gas prices in the near term. I think our view is a little bit different. We're looking at the demand side of the equation, which I think many people are missing. And right now, the biggest issue is that we are not going to fill our storage through the end of this year. If you look at the chart here, right now we're projecting about 3,275 BCF in storage at the end of the season versus a 5-year average around 3,800, and also last year around 3,800. So far in the last 4 weeks, we've been injecting about 9 BCF more year over year than we were last year. But to fill storage back to where we were, we really need to be injecting 48 BCF over last year. We're just not going to get there. So I think near-term storage is not going to be full. We're going to be about 500 BCF short of where we were last year. So the next question is obviously, when do we think we're going to normalize, and when do we think we're going to get back to that picture? On this chart, based on our forecasts, we're looking at about 15 months until we normalize again, and it really depends on which weather scenario that you're looking at. If you're looking at this year's weather, which has been hotter than average, we're not going to normalize in the next year or two, but based on last year, which I would consider a much more average weather scenario, it's about 15 months from today before we get to the 5-year average on storage in the United States. Now, there's a lot of wild cards, of course, in this analysis, the biggest being temperatures, whether it's the rest of the summer, whether it's winter driving gas demand this year, or honestly summer temperature next year, are 3 unknowns. We're not going to focus on those right now. There are plenty of other people talking about near-term and long-term weather forecasts. The other thing that is an unknown is what new supply, both from a direct well standpoint and from an associated gas standpoint, is going to look like over the next years. Again, we're not looking at that factor here. Really what we're going to focus in on is demand and where we believe the market might be underestimating what the demand is going to be. I think the biggest thing that people are underestimating is the amount of natural gas that is going to be needed for the power generation space. So we took a look at EIA data for natural gas generation builds in the United States for the next 7 years. I would say the numbers in 2018 through 2021 are fairly certain at this point, and you're looking to add about 45 gigawatts of natural gas capacity in those next years, which is a lot of gas demand. The later years, not necessarily as well known, but still possible. So just taking that natural gas generation build, and I guess I should say that build is roughly 80% combined cycles. We assume a heat rate of about 6.6 on those, and 70% capacity factors, and then 20% peakers with a heat rate of 9.8 and at about 10% capacity factor. Blending those two types of generation builds together, we're looking at an increase in gas demand just in the power generation space of 3.6 BCF per day by 2020. It's a lot of gas that is not being used today to generate power that will be used to generate power in the future. The other demand drivers that we haven't talked about here are exports, whether that is exports to Mexico or via LNG. And then the final is really just general industrial and petrochemical demand and what those may do for the increased demand in natural gas. So all said, I think the market is looking at the increased supply, missing the increase in demand, which puts us bullish versus the market on natural gas prices in the near to medium term. For the full detail on this research and analysis piece, please visit our website, centellect.com.